Welcome to another Voltlog product review, and in this video we are taking a look at the DytSpectrumOwl PCB thermal camera. And let me tell you from the start that if you do a lot of PCB repairs or if you do any kind of product thermal characterization, your life would be so much better if you've had a tool like this, and I'll show you why in a few minutes. The company that makes this product is DytSpectrumOwl Technology, and I guess the name of the product is the DytSpectrumOwl. The model number is CA-10, and this is a 260 by 200 pixel resolution IR camera sensor with a 25 frames per second refresh rate and manual adjustable focus lens, which allows it to focus from 20 millimeters up to 2 meters. That 20 millimeter close range focus and the 25 Hz refresh rate are very interesting features of this unit, and I'll talk more about that in a second. But first, full disclosure, this unit was provided for free for the purpose of this review by DytSpectrumOwl Technology. The unit was delivered very well packed in a double cardboard box, and all I had to do is to fix this vertical stand to the base and attach the camera. And while doing this, I couldn't help to notice the very good construction quality. They've used anodized aluminum and metal parts almost everywhere. Everything is nicely machined. They have rounded corners. A really nice attention to detail, like for example, the work surface has an insulating rubber coating which would prevent shorting something on a PCB that you're testing. And on the bottom side of this plate, they have nice rubber bumpers to prevent it from sliding around. Inside the box, they also include a small screwdriver that you use for attaching the vertical stand to the base. They give you a couple of spare screws and a USB Type-C to USB Type-A data cable. Camera has a USB Type-C interface. It looks like the shell is made from plastic and painted the same metal gray color, and you get a single on-off button with a status LED on top. On the sensor side, you get this big focus adjustment wheel, and we'll play with that later on when we get to look at a PCB. But since we're talking about PCBs, let me introduce the sponsor of this video, Altium Designer, one of the most advanced PCB design softwares on the market. Altium has some pretty advanced features which enable collaboration among multiple team members, so there is no wonder they are a popular choice in the professional PCB design world. Check out the link I've placed in the description below to get a free trial for Altium. Raised to its maximum setting on the stand, you get about 15 centimeters of clearance within the work surface and the camera, and that's plenty if you ask me. And you also get the option of installing the stand to the left of the work surface. There's another set of holes here. Then there are a few adjustments on the stand. You can raise or lower the camera by sliding on the vertical rod, but you can also do fine adjustment with this thumb wheel at the top. Then you can move back and forward from this adjustment, and you can also adjust the angle of the camera, so you can pretty much get this into every angle you want. But I would probably use this looking straight down at the PCB. And let's not forget that you can also detach the camera from the stand and maybe attach it to an articulating arm, and then you have complete freedom as how you place it over your workbench. The manufacturer also offers these optional custom thermal chambers built from acrylic, and they have this special lens transparent to infrared, so you can simulate and measure your circuit as if it were enclosed in a box, like it might be in the final enclosure, and you can look through that special window. And I imagine something like that could be really useful for those doing product characterization. But enough with the external presentation, let's put this camera to work, and for that you'll need to download and install the software from their website, and I'll put a link to this in the description below. This is where things start to get really interesting. This has to be the best software package I've seen delivered with a product from China, and it's not a small improvement, it's a huge improvement in software quality. I've seen nothing like this so far, and to start with, the install process is smooth as long as you meet the requirements of having Windows 10, which is recommended. That is because they use a recent version of .NET framework, but that was all included in my Windows 10 computer, so I didn't have to install anything extra. Then you plug in the camera and it just works. It's auto-detected by the computer as a USB camera device, and the software auto-detects the camera being present and starts streaming the video. Looking at the software interface, I'm going to start with showing you the option of opening the English user manual right from the app, but I don't think you'll need it as much because most tasks are just intuitive and work as you expect them. And I can't possibly cover all of the features they offer in this app. It's feature packed, but I'll just go over them briefly. On the right side, you have the different operating modes. Troubleshoot being the default one. You have the option of saving a screenshot or a video with these buttons, and you have a slider which adjusts the temperature range you are analyzing, and you can restrict this to a particular window to eliminate some of the hotspots on a PCB. For example, you might not want to take a look at the processor temperature, which might be the hottest part on a PCB, but you want to look at the second hottest thing, so you can restrict the analyzing window. You have the standard cursor position temperature measurement, as well as the option of defining up to 5 or 6 additional spot measurements, or you can define a rectangle or a polygon you would like to monitor. And you don't get an on-screen measurements, I believe, for these, but you can get them graphed in the circuit design tab. Then there is the 3D analysis tool, which is pretty cool. It shows these peaks and valleys according to the measured temperatures across the whole image, and it just looks very cool. Now, I don't know how I could practically use that because the gradient thermal image already gives me the information I need, but who knows, maybe there are very complicated PCBs where it would help to see those peaks to identify a problem faster. Then there is the comparison function where the image is split in half. So the way you would use this is if you have a known good working board, you place that on the left, and on the right you place another identical board that you'd like to test. And this helps by automatically plotting or measuring the same defined spot or area in a graph, so you can spot the difference between the two samples. I believe it also plots the delta T. There is also a circuit design function which they claim can help with PCB design by providing various analysis methods, and the user manual states that this is still a work in progress, so they might add additional functionality in the future, and you would be able to obtain that through the auto update capability of the software. All of these modes also have an alarm feature, so you can set a board, let it run, and the software will sound an alarm when it goes over the preset. And I've done that kind of testing in the past, and it can be really useful to have that alarm, so you don't have to stay there monitoring the test directly. There is of course the option of adjusting the colors used for the image, as well as adding text markers to the image. You have a settings menu where you can adjust a few settings, including some camera parameters. So all in all, I would say this is pretty feature packed, and best of all, it just works. No trouble whatsoever for the user. And now let's do some actual testing. I have this board powered and placed under the camera so we can take a look at. And first of all, that 25 Hz refresh rate is so cool. Like, you can see the board in real time. And I've been used to those lower 6 or 7 Hz refresh rates that you get from most thermal cameras, and this is such a massive improvement. And I can add some temperature measurement points on this PCB, and we can also plot those on a graph, which looks pretty nice. But let me show you something else we can do. I can bring the camera very close to the PCB and I can manually focus this. And just look at how close the camera is to the PCB now. Here is the thermal image, and those are some 0402 passives in there, and we can clearly see them in the thermal image. And now imagine troubleshooting a board which has a shorted 0402 capacitor or something like that. You can really zoom in with this camera and find the problem. You can literally pinpoint an 0402 passive, possibly even smaller, and you can find your fault in a matter of seconds. Now, if you try to do this with just a normal thermal camera, it would be impossible, just because it has a fixed focus, and that prevents it from getting a clear image up close. You'll have to mess around and get yourself a special zinc selenide IR transparent lens like I did, but then you'd also have to design some kind of holder and adjustment ring for the lens and fit it over the camera. And once you've done that, you still don't have the software that enables you to do all of these measurements. So don't get me wrong, this Unity thermal camera, which I reviewed in a previous video, is still a great general purpose inspection thermal camera, but for PCB inspection it's clearly outperformed by this SpectrumOwl specially designed camera. if PCB inspection is what you need, if you're doing repairs or thermal characterization, then get yourself one of these SpectrumOwl cameras. You won't be disappointed with the quality or the features the software has. And they are not cheap. This is probably the biggest drawback of this camera. Its price tag of around $700 will probably keep it out of the reach of most hobbyists, but I think professionals doing repairs or any other kind of thermal measurements on PCBs will not blink at the $700 price tag, because if you look at the alternatives, for example, FLIR, which is a name everyone thinks of in the space, will happily sell you their ETS 320 model for $2,500. Sure, it has a built-in LCD, but does that justify paying $2,500? Well, not for me. I would much rather get this SpectrumOwl camera with its nice software, and as a bonus, when compared to a handheld unit, due to having this manual focus adjustment, you can also focus it in the distance up to 2 meters, and you can also inspect larger objects, like, for example, I can look at my 3D printer seen from 2 meters away. Now, obviously, at that distance, the resolution starts to become a limitation, but you can always bring it closer if you want to inspect a particular area. There are also a couple of limitations on this camera, and it's important to mention those as well. The software, although it's great, it only runs on Windows, so if you're a Linux user, you are out of luck. You'll need a Windows machine to operate this camera. The software in general is pretty non-invasive and very easy to install, but it's not signed, and Windows will ask you if you wish to run the software each time you try to start it. But the nice part is that you can copy the software to a USB stick and treat it like a portable app and run it from there, because it doesn't spread its files inside the operating system disk. And another limitation is on the optics. There will be a slight optical aberration at close range, maybe towards the edges of the picture, but honestly I haven't even noticed that until I looked really carefully, and I don't know who cares about that when doing PCB inspection. Should you decide to get one of these, they are available on their Amazon shop and from various sellers on AliExpress, and I will put some links in the description below so you can check them out. Dianyang Technology have also been very responsive while chatting with them over email. It seems that their English is very good. They're constantly adding features to the app. So reach out to them if you need to. You will be pleasantly surprised. And that concludes my review of the SpectrumOwl thermal camera. Please let me know in the comments below what are your thoughts for this product, or if you have any questions, I'll try to answer all of them. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time with a new video.